Welcome back to the Frizz and the Grizz podcast with your hosts, Trudeau and D.
Another Tuesday, another installment of Frizz and the Grizz. It's your boy Trudeau, and D is with me as always. What's up, buddy?
What's good, man? Hey, you didn't say your co-host. You just said, and D is with me. I think I like that one. I like that intro more than all of the others.
I think it's because I always stumble through the first version of that where I try to say the co-host thing. So I avoided it completely today.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I would love to say it's been a busy week in sports, but probably not really. I mean, I know the finals and both the Stanley Cup final and NBA finals are going on right now, but we have like just maybe 4 games in between those events. Nothing really else in the sports world, so we're going to go pretty heavy on the NBA finals today. There was some breaking news on Live Golf, so I'm going to fill D in on that because he was curious about that before the show. We do have a Frizz 5 today, and it's I would say it's seasonal. Mm-hmm. Right. And we're going to debut a new segment, a new game. I don't know if it's going to be a hit. We literally made it up in 10 minutes before the show started. So we have production, though, with the 10 minutes we had.
I mean, we don't have a pre-show like meeting where we go over like a ton of stuff. It's kind of like, hey, man, what do you want to talk about? I don't know. What do you want to talk about? All right, let's just roll with it. And like, that's our meeting. So for anybody that thinks that this shit is like prepared like night and day or like for the the week leading up to it. No, it's not. Everything is off the cuff, off the top of the head.
Yeah, I was actually talking to you before the show, and we'll get into the sports stuff in a second. I was telling D, I don't watch a lot of movies, but my primary source of movie watching is like on a plane when I'm traveling. Mm. And I was curious because my last movie I saw was Nope, right? The Jordan Peele movie.
Yep,
caught that on the plane to Las Vegas. I'm curious, like, what is the most recent movie you've watched?
Watched or on a plane?
Just watched in general.
It was Forrest Gump. It was the day that you texted me and said,
I meant more of like recent movies, like
brand new,
like not something you just saw on TV.
I mean, I know we watch these. You got to ask the missus. Like she comes up with these. There was a movie called The Menu that we watched, and then like the week later we watched the Dinner, and then I was like, we're no longer watching movies that start with the.
You just did food themed.
It was, but like they were both weird as shit. The new Guardians of the Galaxy, probably something that we should watch. I fell off with Marvel, and I know we've talked about this. I don't know if I've mentioned it on air. Like, I feel like Endgame ruined movies for me for Marvel because like that was closure. That was all right. That was a lot of Iron Man was when we were in college. I think the Hulk is when we were in high school. So it's like that's a very long time to follow a series. And then like when if spoiler alert, Tony Stark dies, but like when he does, it's just like, all right, that's the the culmination of 10 to 12 years of movies. I don't need to restart a new, segment of it. So like now there's new movies for Guardian, there's new Wakanda Forever. And I'm like, I can't do this again.
Shout out to appreciate you in the chat, Zaybell. I think he's saying his most recent Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, if you guys in the chat, shoot your most recent movie out. I'm curious what you guys have been watching. I gave up on Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, after number 2. It's just when you get to like 2 and 3 of a series, I feel like you've run it to the ground. I feel the same way about like I said last episode, Jurassic Park was one of my favorite movies of all time. When you got to the third one, I was out. You know what I mean?
The third movie or the third version of the movie? Because The Lost World is
all of it. Okay. All of it, man. All of it. Just I hate Zay saying it was good. All right, I'll have to check it out. The first one was fantastic. And I think are they making a new what's the one with Ryan Reynolds that superhero? Are they making a new one of those? I really enjoyed the Deadpool movie.
I know there is a second Deadpool. So you're saying are they making the third?
Yeah.
That I don't have.
That I would check out. I'm not a big comic book superhero movie. So like, yeah, give me some suggestions. I'll check out that Guardians.
Well, I know that this is very off topic, but if there's a day for us to be off topic and not talk about sports, this is the day for it.
Yeah.
And I feel as though Deadpool, the first one, is what made the Marvel series better because a lot of them were just superhero, really dead, like comedy involved with it. And then Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds comes out, and we know he's a sarcastic asshole. So like he had his flair to like not only killing, bad guys, but like talking shit while he does it, making a comedic relief. And then that changed like the whole Iron Man movies. It's when Guardians of the Galaxy came out. It changed a whole bunch of like ways that Marvel was able, Captain America, that was a snoozer fest. And then like, let's add some more like content to it. I think Deadpool changed the way that those movies went or their direction.
Yeah, I love Ryan Reynolds. But you know what the thing about Ryan Reynolds is he just plays Ryan Reynolds.
Every movie,
yeah.
Every single movie he's in, yeah. Dating all the way back to, I don't know if you've heard of this, Van Wilder. That movie is crazy. National Lampoon's Van Wilder came out when we were like middle school. Recommend if it's just like a drunk night that you're watching it. Don't recommend if you're around kids. Like it's a raunchy ass college movie.
And I know we're getting way off topic, but after the finals, we're not going to have lots to talk about. I know I like baseball, but like you can only talk about so much baseball. We need to like go back, and if you guys in the chat have suggestions, maybe we'll talk about some old school funny ass movies, because you had me thinking of old school as well. So I want to get into maybe that in the summer when we have nothing to talk about. We'll bookmark that for later.
I like it.
You know what I've actually been disappointed by?
What's that?
You got to find your boy Percival, because that guy was the ultimate Heat fan. He'd come in the chat and chat with us when the Heat were terrible. I'm talking when they were fighting to get into the playoffs, and they've
been MIA since.
Yeah,
I think it was like 2 weeks before the playoffs. He was chiming in every single week, and then boys MIA.
Yeah, I'd love to see him back, and I appreciate you guys all in the chat. We see you out there. Let's talk some NBA Finals. Obviously, we're 1-1 right now. Miami with the big win on the road last game. What is like your overall thoughts so far in the series?
It's going the exact same way that I said it was going to go. Like you texted me, and I said it was going to be, a dog fight, and you're like, so much of a dog fight. It's a 20-point, ass kick.
Game one was
game
bad.
one, yeah. They still stuck around, and what I had mentioned was like if you let this team do what they've been doing in all of these playoff series, which is stick around, it's not gonna turn out well for you. And that's what they did. Like, yeah, they were up 20-25, and then they were able to cut it to like 8, maybe 7 in that game. It was
never really competitive game.
It was controlled, right? It was controlled, but what I'm saying is like that's a game you have to bury the Heat in. Because what happens when you let them get back into 6 or 7 a point lead is you have
the Heat fans are.
I didn't say 6. I said 7. I definitely said 7. But what I'm saying is what happens when you let the Heat stick around is you get this on the bench with Jimmy Butler. For those that can't watch, he sits there and he goes, yep, you motherfuckers can't blow us out. And that gives them a chance, right? And that's what's keeping them in every single series is nobody has the ability to blow them out and like get rid of their comeback spirit.
Yeah, I'm not here, and I'm not ready to say that the Heat have a shot in this, even though they won last game. Game 1 was pretty handily, taken care of by the Nuggets. Game 2 was really weird. The Heat started the game, won this huge run, and I'll be honest with you, I thought it was going to be a close game. I took the Heat in the points betting. Like I thought it was going to be a close game. And it was. They go on this huge run to start the game. They end actually below the entire lead. At some point, Denver's up by 12 points. You think this is going to go the way of Denver. They managed to keep it close. And I think that's the key for Miami. They have been excellent in these playoffs in tight games. We're talking like 2-possession games. If they can keep it close going into the last 5 minutes in what they call crunch time, I love Miami. Like as far as how they can win those nitty-gritty in the margins. But in the series so far, you saw 2 types of Miami. First game, they were awful shooting. Second game, they hit every goddamn shot. I mean, Max Strus came out the gates firing. It depends what you're going to get on Miami. I think in game 2, you saw the A game of Miami, what they're capable of. And Denver is still playing like 70%. Like they are not hitting their stride yet. I'm not saying that they are going to, right? But I expect at some point for them to turn on. It's just hard for me to believe that Miami can continue this, but I've been doubting them all year, and they're here now. So
that's the main point that I was going to hit is like your doubt is something that is showing that it's unproven. They are showing that if you're giving them a chance, they're going to stick around. And I think I think you're seeing more of what Miami's able to do against Denver than what Denver's able to do against Miami. Hear me out. Denver's offense is incredible, right? They have the best, if not one of, the best offenses in the league, averaging 115 to 120 points per game. They're not doing that in this series, right? And that's key
Well, that's
because
also pace of play though, because they haven't been able to play at a fast pace. The
that's
entire
what
year.
I'm saying is that the Denver, and this isn't saying like, oh, the Heat are going to sweep the next four. I'm saying Denver is playing more of Miami's pace ball, which favors Miami versus Miami having to get sped up to play Denver.
So let me ask you this: throughout the playoffs, we've been big like, oh, Himmy, right? Like it's been playoff Jimmy, Michael Jordan's son. You can say whatever you want. Like he's been incredible. I know last game in game 2 he was pretty bad. I'm trying to pull up the stats now. Are you concerned at all with Jimmy Butler because like he is the heart and soul of this team? It seems like from all the legwork he's done earlier in the playoffs, he's running out of steam. So I'm looking at last game, 21 points, 7 of 19 shooting. That's pretty bad numbers. And then game 1, I'm guessing it wasn't much better. Let me just see really quick. Game 1, 13 points, 6 of 14 shooting. So he's been abysmal the first 2 games. It's been the role players really stepping up, and in particular, like Gabe Vincent's been fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
They beat the Celtics, and Caleb Martin was a hero among Heat fans. They thought he should have won, the MVP. He's been awful in this series. So if you're not going to get this from Jimmy, like if Jimmy's cooked, let's just say he's cooked, right? The injury of the ankle is catching up to him, and you're expecting on these like very, very much role players to carry your team. It's going to be tough. That's all I'm saying. I do have a question on this one for you. Did you hear this stat today? I'm sure you've seen it's been all over Twitter. Throughout these playoffs, the Nuggets are 0-3 when Jokic scores over 40 points.
Yes, I did. So this actually goes hand in hand. Let me write this down so I can make sure to touch on all of them. Am I worried about Jimmy Butler and his offensive ability? No, not even one bit. I think he's actually playing exactly how he needs to play to get this team to where they need to go. Reason being, Jimmy Butler isn't a volume shooter. He's not holding on to the ball. He's not a James Harden either. He's not holding on to the ball and taking people out of the game. If he's not scoring, he's facilitating. And that's why these role players are able to get going, able to hit shots, because people are like, oh shit, Jimmy's going to drive. And then he's like, no, I'm kicking it out. So your Duncan Robinson is getting hotter. Caleb has a good night. Gabe has a good night. Kevin Love came in and had a hell of a game too. Jimmy Butler is facilitating that from the wing. I'm not calling him LeBron, but what I'm saying is when you get 27 and 7, that's pretty damn good. Even if you struggle to get your 20, you're attributing an extra 20 to 25 points by distributing the ball.
Matchup wise, Aaron Gordon is a phenomenal defender against him.
Absolutely.
Like Aaron Gordon is winning that battle, or it's a push. KCP is interesting, right? Because Jimmy has some size on KCP, and he's doing some work on KCP. Anyone else is a win for Jimmy, like Murray, if he can get that switch. I guess my thing is like if you're Denver, you probably want to approach it, and we're going to circle back to the Jokic thing, the same way Miami approached Jokic in game 2, where it's like, all right, let the big boy eat.
Go off. Yep.
And we'll live with that. Versus, well, if we're going to help on Jimmy, because like I saw it several times in game 2, you had like KCP on Jimmy, and like inexplicably Jamal Murray's like 7 to 10 feet away, and he shades over just 3 feet or 4 feet. He's not even helping. It's like he's in no man land at that point, and Jimmy just makes the pass and a swing open 3. The adjustment is this. If you're concerned about Jimmy's health, which I am a little bit, I think he's starting to get some wear and tear of these playoffs. Make him beat you. Make him be the Himmy you saw in round 1 and round 2, right? Because right now, what you saw in the last game is he drew some attention, was able to get some open shots for his teammates.
I think Butler is a good enough player to understand when a team is doing that. If he's hot, he's going to keep shooting.
That's fine, but like, do you think
he's not going to force it?
Do you think he can beat Aaron Gordon 1-on-1 though? If everyone sticks with their man, do you think he can beat Aaron Gordon 1-on-1?
No, I don't. I think one of them is more physical, bigger. The Aaron Gordon is bigger than Jimmy Butler, and I think he's more physical. So like that's the game that Jimmy likes to play, is try to beat him up in the post, try to hit the midi. So if Aaron Gordon can stay out of foul trouble, like, yeah, I think he can win that matchup. But I'm telling you, it's just human nature. He's going to get by his matchup. People are going to think he's going to go up. He's going to find the open guy. Like that's what he's able to do. And just because I don't want to touch on this topic about the whole Jokic and 40. So I hinted on it with the C's, and this is not to bash on the Celtics, I promise you. But I hinted on it with the Celtics. I was like, let Jason Tatum go off if he can. Put Butler on Jaylen Brown because it takes away that second option. And that's essentially what I'm saying with this. When I mentioned at the beginning of the finals, like don't be I guess like surprised if Jamal Murray is MVP because they're gonna do whatever they can to stop Jokic. And it's like, wait a minute, they might actually pivot and go, let Jokic score 40, 50 points. You're not gonna beat us 50-98. Shut everybody else down. And what they did is they put switches with Jimmy on Jamal. And I'm not saying he struggled, but 14, it just wasn't a Jamal Murray game, and that's.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, right?
They're not going to get rid of the formula, but that's what I think is going to help.
I'm not super worried for Denver, right? They lost by 3, and there were several points where they could have tied the game up, right? I think there was a 3 at the end of the game to tie it. They missed, and they went on huge runs against this Miami Heat team. Would you say that Miami played well in Game 2? Like they played pretty well.
Yep.
I thought Denver played like dog shit, and they only lost by 3. And here's the thing: Michael Porter Jr. was a ghost. I'm looking at the box score. Not only did he have 6 points, but it was on 2 of 8 shots. So he's taking 8 shots, and like you said, Murray was pretty ineffective for what he's been doing. He
18, shot. I said 14. My bad.
Yeah, no one really pitched in. I don't know. I expect Denver to pick up game 3. I'm going to put some money on Denver. I'm taking Denver to win Game 3, but also. Hear me out. I'm not saying that's going to be Denver, Miami. I do respect Miami. I bet you they pick 1-2. They probably pick up Game 4. We're going back to Denver tied 2-2. You know, as this thing progresses, though, right? Like I said with Jimmy Butler and my concern with his health, the Heat has played 7 games last series, right? They went to 6 against the Knicks. They went to, was it 5 or 6? 5. And then on the flip side, I think Denver has played 5 games, 6 games, and 4 games, right? You know, I think as this thing goes longer and longer to Game 6, Game 7, if that's necessary, Jimmy Butler is going to be struggling, man. Like I just think the constant requirement of him being that guy in the playoffs is going to catch up to him because he's not a guy who is healthy all regular season. Like he has his issues. He takes time off for injuries and that stuff. So. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid point. We saw him give any and everything he could in the bubble, and they stretched that series to 5 or 6. But
that famous picture of him
leaning over, yeah, like I mean, that's him.
That again. Like that could be the story of the finals.
I think he has more help right now than he did in that series, though. It was him and Bam. Tyler Hero was doing his best, but Caleb, Gabe, Duncan are contributing more in this series than the Heat had. I hate the term role players, but like non-stars.
You have a good memory of those finals. I thought that they had a better team that year because I think Bam was better a couple years ago than he is now, right? Duncan Robinson was better as a player then. That was when Duncan Robinson, right before he got that contract, and he was just a machine out there, right?
I think the thing was with Duncan though was we knew that he could shoot. We understood he couldn't play defense, but it was affecting the team before they could see he couldn't play defense.
Yeah.
So right now, people know he can't play defense, and Spo also knows that 3 years later, so like they can scheme positions around him. Whereas in the finals back then, they were like, we can't take him out because we needed shooting.
And you mentioned Tyler Hero. I know he's out for Game 3. That's already been announced. I have seen the question float around, like, what do you do with Tyler Hero if you're the Miami Heat? Like, let's say Game 4, because apparently he's been doing shoot around and he's been doing like team activities, so he's pretty close to being ready to play.
Mm-hmm.
But he hasn't played obviously since Game 1 of the playoffs against the Bucks. So if you're Miami, what do you do with Tyler Hero when and if he becomes ready? Game 4 or 5, whatever.
You bring him back. You 100% bring him back. And the only reason why I say that is because it's just more firepower. I don't think you're.
But has the Miami Heat gotten to where they've gotten now based on their firepower? To me, it's been everyone can be a plus defender when they can put 5 guys on a court that you really can't target too bad. right? They have plus defenders everywhere. And with the switch to Tyler Hero, you have someone you could target for the other team. And also, like, there's something to this team gelling and playing cohesively that could get thrown off by just throwing a guy in after a month off.
It's not just a guy though. Like Tyler Hero wasn't an outsider when he got hurt. He was essentially I won't say the team, but he was the secondary playmaker / scorer on the team. Like the team fed off of him, and you don't sit that, especially if you're talking about what you just said, 5 minutes ago. Like Jimmy Butler's taking on a lot of responsibility. Like you can alleviate that with the Hero, and I'm not saying that like obviously Highsmith isn't gonna be playing, right? So like that
he's been pretty good.
He has been, but like I'll take Hero over Highsmith.
Yeah.
And what it does is it'll cut into Strus and Vincent. It won't cut too much into Caleb, but it'll definitely cut into Strus and
I don't think if he does come back, I would guess he doesn't play that much. I would guess
it's off the bench. Give me 10 minutes of your best offense that we can
15 minutes just when they need a scoring punch.
Yep.
That's about it. Yeah. I'm interested to see where this goes. I have no idea how this is going to end up because on paper, you would think that Denver will come back and take care of this, but we've been saying this for several rounds with Miami. They could be just a team of destiny. I have no idea at this point.
The way that they're winning ugly games, and sometimes you got to win ugly shit to win championships. And they have the DNA to do it because they just keep winning. Al Davis would be happy just win, baby, win, huh?
I wish so. I do have a story before we get off the NBA Finals. So I was not always a basketball fan, right? I became a fan of the NBA like 2006, 2005.
Oh, that's cute. Right when they drafted Dwight.
So hear me out. So I wanted to pick a Florida team because I was from Florida, and it was between the Miami Heat and the Orlando Magic. And I ended up by going with the Orlando Magic and being passionate about them. The next year after I picked the Orlando Magic and became a fan and watched them for a full year, that was the year after they got Beasley. And then if you remember correctly what happened after that, the big three happened. And goddamn, man, I regret every day not being a Miami Heat fan because this looks like it's hella fun for these guys. That's all I'm going to say. All right, we're going to try something new. I don't know how it's going to be.
We're not really sitting at a table nice for this.
We workshopped this before the show, and I had this idea. I saw something on Twitter. And guys, if you like this in the audience, let me know. You can guess along with us, or you can be part of this game. It's a game called Where You Been, and we'll start now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the hottest game show in America, Where You Been? A game show where I tell D the locations of previous locations of an NBA player and where they are now. And he has to guess who that NBA player is. It's the game we call Where You Been? All right, I'm going to start off with an easy one for you. Only got 3 because it's the tester for today.
Okay.
This player currently plays for the Los Angeles Lakers. Here is where he's been chronologically from the start of his career. Atlanta, Oklahoma City, Los Angeles, Boston, Houston, Los Angeles. Where you been? Who is this player?
This is going to be an awful segment. He went to the Celtics and then he played for the Lakers after.
Celtics, Rockets, Lakers are his last 3 destinations. Lakers being the current destination. Now, if you want some hints, I can help walk you through it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So before the Celtics, he played for the Lakers. So it's a player who's played for the Lakers before.
Twice.
Played for the Lakers. Started in Atlanta. He actually became like a commodity in Atlanta. He was a backup player.
Ooh, I got it.
And player is?
Dennis Schroeder.
Ding! I got to get the ding with me. Sorry, you get how this game works?
I get it now, yeah.
All right, so you got to kind of work backwards.
I had to think about that. Once you said Lakers, Celtics, Lakers, I was like, wait a minute. Schroeder had that quick stint that everybody before I think before December, people wanted him traded. Like, it was so quick.
when he was
dropped
Celtics.
Yeah, like he dropped
hated
the
him with
bag
the
in
Celtics.
LA. He could have gotten Mac. He could have gotten a big contract
Talk
after
about
the
fumble in the bag. What was he being
yeah.
offered in LA?
Well, it was after the finals. So like he was like, let me get my money. And they were like, I mean, we could offer you this. He's like, no. I don't want 30 million a year. I want 40. And they were like, okay. And then he got like 4.
All right. Yeah. So those in the audience, if you have guesses for this to help D out, feel free to jump in. All right. Your next one. I went final theme. So I have one of them is a player that's currently on the Heat. And one of them is a player that's currently on the Nuggets. All right. So we're going to go with the Miami player. Ready? So it's a player that currently plays in Miami. These are his previous destinations in order from his starter's career to now. Okay. Orlando, Oklahoma City, Indiana, Houston, Miami. Who is that player?
The Houston part is what is throwing me off. One more time. Say it again.
Yep. Orlando, Oklahoma City, Indiana, Houston, Miami. Now, I will tell you this. If you want a hint, I can help you out.
Yeah, a hint would help out.
Houston was a buyout.
So he never played. Oh, where did he get drafted?
Orlando.
Depot.
Ding. Good one.
Let's go.
See, you get the hang of this.
I had to think about it because it was like when you said buyouts, all right, he never played.
That one kills me as the Orlando Magic fan.
Yeah. He was the number 1, right?
We drafted him, I think, 4th or 5th overall. He was top 5 pick. Gotcha. He was just mid in Orlando. He never really developed into it like that star player
Indiana.
we were hoping he'd be.
That's where he came from. Yep.
Yeah, he came from Indiana. And he became really good in Oklahoma City. And then he became an all-star in Indiana. We gave up on him way too early, unfortunately.
I mean, all you got to do is just keep following the trend because I'm telling you, it's going to make LA so much sweeter if you just keep drafting number 1 overall players and then losing them when it's time to actually sign their first contract. Just make my life better. Go ahead and lose Paulo. We know it's in the history books.
You like Paulo, huh? He's good.
You lost. Well, I'm just saying it worked out for championships. You lost Shaq. We got a championship. You lost Dwight. We got a championship. Lose Paulo, and we can get another one.
We'll talk about this later. You worry about keeping your star players, okay? That's all I'm going to say.
Last one. Current Denver Nugget. This one might be the hardest one of them all. I'm not going to lie. This is probably going to be tough. I don't know anything about the Nuggets.
This player had a lot of stops.
Ooh.
All right. In chronological order. Los Angeles Clippers, Dallas Mavericks, New York Knicks, and New Jersey Nets, or they're probably the Brooklyn Nets at that point, LA Lakers, Philadelphia 76ers, Denver Nuggets.
Philly last, you said, right?
Philly last, now on the Nuggets.
Drafted team again. Could you say, oh, yeah. Who's the drafted team?
Los Angeles Clippers.
Ooh, no, this actually. No hint. You said Nets in there, right? Brooklyn?
Yes. It went Knicks, Nets, Lakers, Sixers.
Knicks. Wait, when did the Knicks get in there?
Clippers, Mavericks, Knicks, Nets, Lakers, Sixers,
Nuggets. Knicks threw me off. I'm going to make the guess because when you said Clippers, it made me think of it, but I was going to say DeAndre Jordan.
Ding!
It is. Let's go. When did he play for the Knicks, though?
After I have to look. It might be one of those situations where it's like a cup of coffee, like he was there for half the season.
Because Clippers drafted as Lob City. That's what made me first think about it. But and I know he was. You tried to throw me a curveball when you said it was the New Jersey Nets. I was like,
Yeah, I was trying to figure out like what chronologically like where that franchise was at that point. I'm looking up the roster now and trying to find DeAndre Jordan to get you some.
Porter hasn't been anywhere. You didn't say Lakers, so that gets rid of KCP. Jokic hasn't gone anywhere. Jamal hasn't gone anywhere. Like I'm just trying to process of elimination.
He only played 19 games for the Knicks, so that's why it was kind of tricky.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I thought that one was going to be a tricky one because he doesn't play for the Nuggets, so maybe you kind of would forget he's there.
But he's an old timer.
Yeah,
which would mean that you get rid of a lot of the people that Bruce Brown isn't going to be on that list because Bruce Brown played for the Nets, but he's just not going to have 7 different stops. You know what I'm saying?
Do you remember the time that the Dallas Mavericks tried to lock him in his house to get him
to sign DeAndre Jordan?
Yes.
Yes, I do remember that.
They got to be happy that didn't work out.
Yeah. I mean, they're trying to do everything that they can to get LeBron right now, so why not? Mark Cuban is just trying to get his man.
Do you know what his career free throw percentage is?
It's like 37%.
47. I'm curious who has a higher. I don't. Now I'm just going to rabbit hole. What do you think? Who has a higher free throw percentage career? DeAndre Jordan or Ben Simmons?
Ooh,
I'll have to look it up afterwards.
It's got to be Ben. Please don't tell me that it's DeAndre Jordan.
I'm gonna put a bookmark in it and look
like
up.
Like Ben Simmons as a rookie was good. It's just he fucking fell off after that.
That is where you been. All right, intermission time. What do you think? Did you like where you've been?
I like that. Not easy, tell you that. You definitely had some 2K knowledge thrown in there with it, where I was like, all right. And then I had to know where people were drafted. I don't know how far back you're gonna go with some of these in the future. But the draft team was
draft team, then like the one prior team kind of helps you figure that out.
The one, yeah, that's why I asked you. I was like, where did they go? Where were they before they're at now? And it made me just process of elimination for it. That DeAndre Jordan one was tough because there was so many. That Knicks thing threw me off. I was like, I don't remember him being in the Knicks
at all.
But it was the Clippers thing. I was like, well, who else was on the Clippers? Who got drafted by the Clippers on that team? And I was like, I don't think anybody besides Lob City, old school DeAndre Jordan. That was dope, though. It's very similar to.
I have his Ben Simmons career free throw percentage. I'll tell you afterwards.
So there was a game that I had seen, and for those that are unfamiliar, this is our like break time, right? Where we're just gonna ramble on. If you guys want to throw in something in the chat that you want us to bring back, please feel free. Or if you want us to talk about a topic that we might not get onto today, this is the time for it. But that game reminded me of something that I had seen on social media where it's like two guys and they're going back and forth. And they're naming. It's very similar to it where they're just like, all right, I'm thinking about an item in the office. And it's like, it's less than $10. It's square. And like he's ripping off, he's got 10 guesses to figure out what it is. It's actually pretty dope. So it's very similar to that. And they did have a like name that like football player. Based off of like position where he's at right now and like salary and shit.
It's like 20 questions, right? Essentially, 20 questions to like try to figure something out.
Yep. So it was actually dope. I liked it.
We could try that in the future. Yeah, guys. If you have any topics you want us to jump on the second half of the show, let us know. Just throw it in the chat. Or if you have any comments, tell me how much we suck so far. No, I'm just kidding.
The segment was trash. What is it?
Don't do that shit again.
Smash or pass? Is that the food thing that they say on social networks? Smash or pass? If that was a dope segment, let us know. If it was terrible,
like what you're saying on Tinder.
Oh, no.
that's what you said.
100%. It's on like TR, like TSR, like foods or something like that for me. Like, would you eat? Or I'm digging myself even deeper by saying, would you eat or would you not? So let's go ahead and say we'll end that conversation with it. What else you want to talk
about? So we got some more NBA stuff, the non-final stuff with Frizz 5, Live Golf. Yeah. We'll jump into the non-NBA stuff in a moment if no one's got anything. We'll take a sip of water and we'll jump right back in.
Do your thing.
I like that segment. That was fun.
The intermission?
No, see, this is for the podcast, so they don't get the intermission part.
You talk about the game.
About where you've been. See, the goal is to make it seem natural, like we didn't do the break.
It's all good. Over my head, 100%. But moving forward, I got you if you ever do that again.
All good. Yeah, so like there were a couple non-finals NBA stuff we want to touch on. Let's just jump into this one. This was hilarious, and I alluded to it earlier about you worrying about your own star player sticking.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, what was it, Kyrie or I guess Kyrie's trying to get LeBron to come join him in Dallas. Are you worried about your star player leaving the Lakers?
No, not to go to the Dallas Mavericks. Nothing against, Mark Cuban. I think he's a great owner. I think what he's done for that organization is incredible. They got an NBA Finals under their belt. But no, LeBron James is not going to Dallas, Texas to end his career. Like, he's going to stay out west. He's going to make it so that he gets as much money in the largest market in the world. I don't think he's stressing about, or I'm not stressing about them losing him to the Dallas Mavericks. They don't even have assets to trade for it to be worth their time to think about that.
What do you think? Like Kyrie really probably thinks this is a possibility, right? Like
Yes,
find his bullshit.
he was probably sitting back and was just like, what could really help this team? Oh, yo, let's get LeBron James. And then he's like, that's going to happen, right? And it's like, that's not how this shit works, Kyrie. Like, you don't just come up with a plan and like, I want LeBron James. Okay, it takes two to tango. Yeah, but like, you can just trade for him, right? This ain't a video game.
They're probably just like, yeah, Kyrie. We'll give him a call. Yep, Kyrie, no problem, buddy. Yep, we'll let you know. We'll let you know. He's like, hell yeah, they're gonna get fucking LeBron. Let's go.
Hey, Luka, they said we're gonna bring in LeBron James. Like, that's his conversation. Luka's like, I don't care about LeBron. I want to win myself.
Like, Luka's probably just sitting there drinking his fifth beer of the day, just like, okay, Kyrie, okay.
100%. I don't know where that Ukrainian or Russian accent came from me. Is that how he sounds? Does he talk like this? Does he talk like Ivan Drago? I can't remember.
We'll just go with it.
I'm gonna say he sounds like that.
I will say that, like, for non-Lakers fans, if that ever happened, that would be hilarious. If that's how that goes down, your team just breaks up because LeBron goes Luka. And also, could we just be honest? That would be fun as hell to watch, like the LeBron and Luka show with Kyrie.
Yeah, for the NBA, yeah, I wouldn't say that would be bad. That's an aging superstar, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest of all time, teaming up with Luka Doncic. I don't even care about the Kyrie Irving angle of it. I would just look more forward towards like, yo, man, like this is the passing of the torch. Luka, like, now is your time to, take the throne as the NBA's best player, because we thought that he was going to be. And then unfortunately, he just keeps getting knocked out the playoffs. Granted, he made the Western Conference Finals a couple of years ago, but like, it's Jokic's world, and all the other international players are just a part of it.
Oh, by the way, I told you I would get back to you about the Ben Simmons free throw percentage.
Oh yeah,
higher career free throw percentage than DeAndre Jordan. His career is 59%.
Nice. So
honestly, that sounds good for Ben Simmons.
It's not bad. One every two, he gets the line and he bricks the first one. I mean, for those that play 2K, like, they always miss the first free throw, so it's the same thing.
Yeah, though, to be fair, like, his free throw percentage over the years I was looking at has gotten worse. He shot 43% last year.
I told you, I think his best season that he had was a rookie.
Second year, I think he was like 63%.
But was that actually his rookie year, or was that like
you know what? Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, because he sat out the first year.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get to some actual news, because I think that weird Shams report was. I mean, I'm sure Kyrie believes he can do that, but we all know that's just Kyrie logic. We did want to talk about some, like, the NBA coaching hires. We were kind of alluding to a couple weeks ago, Monty Williams still being a good coach, and he got the bag. Detroit gave him, I think, 5 years, $78 million. Not super exciting to talk about. I didn't want to bring up the Frank Vogel stuff to Phoenix. I thought that was interesting. I have my thought on that one, and you went through we actually both lived through the Frank Vogel experience. I'm a Magic fan. You're a Lakers fan. We both had him as a head coach. Like, do you think that makes sense for Phoenix?
Yeah, he's a defensive-minded coach. That defensive-mindedness brought a championship to the Lakers. I think he helped get that because he brought in the likes of Dwight, Marc Gasol, and I know there was another big that helped them get to the next step for the championship.
Oh, you mean Pau Gasol, right?
No, it was Mark.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mark.
You confused me. I was like,
yeah, no, you're right.
But Pau was there for the first, but that's what helped that defensive mentality.
What was the third one?
Who? McGee. Yes, I was like, there's another big. There was 3 defensive bigs where AD could play the 4, and it took responsibility off because it allowed them to just play. It allowed them to actually play defense better. So, like, I think he's a good coach. I think he got, wrongfully fired. I hate that, that he did get let go. They kind of used him and Westbrook as the scapegoat for their reasons for failing. But, like, he won a championship. I think he has that pedigree. And do the Suns become a contender, like a finals contender because of it? No, because it's still Booker and Durant and nobody else. Like they need
They'll
pieces.
get pieces this offseason. People will take like
Yeah,
the minimum.
they'll have the offseason to do that, but I just don't think I wouldn't just go. This one isn't one of those. Oh, they got the coach. That's all they needed
So
compared to like other teams that a coach could be the difference between them being a championship team or not.
maybe this is unfair. Maybe you have a better insight than I do. But when I thought of Frank Vogel with the Lakers, and I think of him the same way now with the Suns, might as well just roll out like those like fat heads, like the big cardboard cutouts. Just put a cardboard cutout of him there because like he's just kind of like a front facing figurehead where sure he's the coach, but like the superstars LeBron and that team ran shit. And I feel the same way about KD and Devin Booker. Like sure Frank Vogel is your coach, but like is he really the one making the decisions, or is it going to be like, hey KD, what do you want to do like to close out like whatever, you know what I mean? Like I just see him as more as like as a figurehead and not really like an actual hands-on coach, like a I don't know, like a Doc Rivers. Even though it's a terrible example, but you know what I'm saying though.
I get what you're saying, but I also think there is no coach in the NBA that's doing that on the offensive standpoint. There are coaches that are doing it and making those defensive changes on
Eric
defense.
Spoelstra like a
That
word.
was 100%. Yeah. What? No, I didn't say that he was on his caliber. He was on his level, but Spoelstra is one of those coaches where, I mean, he's doing it on both sides, offense and defense. But I'm saying Spoelstra is 100% a defensive-minded coach. Like, let's get you to play our game in order to slow you down. And I'm not saying that Vogel has the ability to do that with the Suns. They need players to do that. But he is a defensive-minded coach where, yeah, he's not going to go to KD when it comes to 3 seconds left in the game and be like, hey, man, like, let's do this play. KD's going to be like, no, give me the ball and get the fuck out the way. But when it comes to them being up by 2 and they say, hey, I need you guys to do this if you see this and make a switch, that's where it's going to be huge that Monty Williams, I don't believe would have been able to do.
And the last one I want to touch on is you mentioned Nick Nurse in his press conference, and I had some theory on that one from Windhorst. So you give me the details, and I'll fill you in what I heard, like Windhorst kind of like maybe alluding to on his pod.
Yeah, so the one planted guy, I don't know if he was there for, just him. I don't know if this is something that you're going to say about how I felt it was. Somebody like planted this dude here to ask that question about James Harden, was just like, yo, what do you want? Do you want James Harden to come back? And as a new coach, you can't answer that question. You'd say, because it's a players league, we want James Harden to be here if he wants to be here. But no. Do you want James Harden to be here? And it's just like, I'm not answering that question, because if I say yes, I want him to be here, and then we trade him, guess who gets thrown under the bus? And then we say, no, we don't want him to be here. Well, then everybody's like, well, it's your star player. What do you mean you don't want him to be? So it's a lose-lose situation by answering it. I think he handled it right by saying we want him to be here if he wants to be here.
Yeah. So what I heard, like I'm doing the windy, like why would they do that? Because I think he alluded to is like, a lot of these big star players, their free agency is already made up months in advance. Like James Harden, I don't know, what are we in June right now? In like March, he knew what he wanted to do. We were
talking about the Rockets months ago.
He knew if he was going to re-sign or if he was going to leave. And on that same note, I think the team also knows in advance like what James Harden's going to end up by doing. Like there is some dialogue and there is some understanding of like, this guy's working with us right now, or he's just not working with us.
Right.
And to say that, there was speculation that the Philadelphia 76ers might already know the future with James Harden. And if you're going to phrase it like that, you're making it sound like, yeah, what do you want us to like? It's out of our hands. He's pretty much probably going to go, is what, people were speculating based on those comments.
Yeah, I said it. I didn't break it here first, but I joked around and said, I think he's going back to Houston. And you shot that shit down. He's not going back to Houston. And then like closer, which rightfully so, you made sense. But I was like, no, man, I think he misses being the guy in Houston. Like he tried it in Brooklyn.
Houston.
That too. Definitely that. But like he tried it in Brooklyn, didn't work. Tried it in Philly, not working. And it's like now he has the ability to, you tried to chase. Why don't you go back and do the LeBron James, the return of the prodigal son? He comes back to Houston and like they have the younger picks. I mean, the younger draft pick. They have obviously a new coach. Like he has the ability to run that team. And like they're already questioning, Jalen Green and who's the other young kid?
Şengün? Talking about the center?
No, the Houston has Jalen Green and another scorer. I can't remember
Porter?
his name.
Kevin
Yeah,
Porter
Michael.
Jr.?
Porter Jr. Kevin Porter Jr. Like they're questioning them, like, "Hey, how would you guys feel about playing with James Harden?" They're like, "I don't know, man. Like, why? Like, why are you guys bringing this to me? Like, he's a free agent. You know what I'm saying?" So it's like the seed planting was already there. So I think he's out the door. I think Nick Nurse did his best to answer that question without answering it and putting himself in a bad situation, no matter how he answered it.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens if James Harden leaves. Where does that
When?
leave Philly? When he leaves, where does that leave Philly, and what does that mean for the future of Joel Embiid? Because he seems like a dude who wants to win. It would be kind of hilarious, like as someone who doesn't like the 76ers, if the process just was a complete failure. I don't think they ever made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. They never make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. It all breaks up and that's it.
Yeah, so I think in what was it that we talked about with well, the process is dead. I think that's done and over with. That's
Well, I mean,
way too long.
If Joel Embiid takes him to the promised land, it was worth every bad season.
Yeah, but you could say that with literally anything. I mean, if
All right,
the Nets win the championship, they'd be like, "Well, we went through the whole Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett thing, and we
Arian,
traded, and then we went back to
you
KD."
really can't
Go ahead.
throw rocks in your glass house because you're the Los Angeles Lakers and you traded all your crap and all your assets for one championship, and you said you were happy with that.
I
So
am
it's the same situation where if they make it to the finals and win the finals with Joel Embiid, all those shitty seasons are worth it for them.
I guess. Yes, but yeah, you're right. I guess. I mean, if you put it that way, yeah, check and mate, whatever. What what I mean by it is, I think there is going to be a seismic change, or seismic, however you pronounce the phrase, seismic change in not this year's free agency, but next year's free agency. If Giannis doesn't get help and wins another one, or in 2 to 3 years from now, Embiid doesn't get help and doesn't win one. I think you're going to see a huge shift in the NBA, like Dwight Howard to the Lakers magnitude, the first round, when people were like, "Holy crap, the league's best big man," or AD leaving leaving the Pelicans, the league's best big men no longer play for that team, and they have the choice to team up with someone. That's scary.
I wanted to do the Frizz's 5, but actually someone brought this up to me the other day. A good friend of mine who has their basketball podcast. He's a huge fan of the NBA, and I'm curious what your reaction is going to be like to this and other people. So I'm playing 2K. This is not related, but it's kind of related. I do the first season. I have the downloaded draft class, so it has like Victor Wembanyama, Scoot Henderson, and the Thompson twins, and all those guys. I wanted the first pick. I tanked like a motherfucker. Lost the lottery, came second. I traded my second overall pick, 2 future first unprotected, a future swap, and Jalen Duran for the first overall pick to move up one slot. And I asked my friend, who was an avid basketball fan and like dedicates his life to basketball, is that a real trade in real life? If you were drafting second, right? Would the Spurs accept that package for the first overall pick? He says, absolutely not. And he said, and this is going to blow your mind. You're going to be like, this is dumb. He said there's only 5 players in the league that he believes a team would accept for the first overall pick. 5 in the entire league. It was Giannis, Jokic, Tatum, Luka, and I'm forgetting the 5th. But like, that's insane how much people value this number 1 pick this year in the draft with Victor Wembanyama.
I could see that. There's so much uncertainty with everything in the future, and that's what you would be banking on. Is you have, to your knowledge and what everybody has said, Wembanyama is one of the best draft prospects since LeBron, and you have that in him this year. We have no idea what's going to come out next year. Imani Bates went from being a number 1 overall pick to barely second round because of just life shit that happens. The dude that played for Alabama, top 3 pick, and goes out and gets caught with a gun. Like, there's a lot of uncertainty in the future compared to right now, which is Victor Wembanyama, 7'5" center with handle and a 3-ball that you can now change your franchise with. So yeah, I could definitely say that no team would take that trade.
How close are you to Charlotte, by the way?
2.5, 3 hours.
You might have to make one of those trips, man, and just catch this guy play once. Because when he comes to Boston, man, I gotta go. I gotta see this guy play.
Wemignano?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it might be worth it, but I mean, I would like to see what the whole gift of the gab is when it comes to it. But I'm going to see a lot of it on TV, and they're going to promote him. The NBA is 100% going to promote this motherfucker, just like they did with Zion.
For Heat and Nuggets, because I'm like, people are already gushing over next season and looking forward to next season and watching these guys play.
And that's what was going to happen. As soon as the Lakers got swept and the Celtics lost, people were like, "Oh, I don't want to watch the NBA Finals. This is going to be boring." It's been a great final. Not only that, but like we're seeing, we talk about like, and I'm not going to go off on a tangent, I promise. But like we talk about I was about to. We talk about the promotion of Jokic, and then like when we have the ability to do that, people are like, "Oh no, I don't want to watch it." It's like you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like Jokic is one of, or if not the best player in the NBA at the grandest stage. If he wins this championship, like it's gonna go up there with like Dirk Nowitzki for best or the greatest international player in the history of the game. And you're trying to tell me this is a boring series? Miss me with that.
I've watched more Jokic's playoffs than I have in most regular season at this point. And I don't know if I said this to you or someone else, but Jokic reminds me of, when you're 12 years old, you're playing pickup with your friends, and you got the hoop in the backyard or like in the driveway, and then like your fat dad comes out and is like, "Oh, can I play with you?" And he's not like schooling you like and like dribbling past you. He's just like backing you down, holding the ball up high, and just like making easy passes, just like, "Yep, playing with children."
Using the backboard. That's what he's doing.
He's got a big old beer belly, like out of shape. That's what Jokic reminds me of. He looks like he's playing with 12-year-olds, and he's just some fat, out of shape dad.
Definitely the kid that wears the t-shirt in the pool and plays pool basketball. Oh, that's Jokic.
Great call. The
100%.
White t-shirt, right?
Yep.
XL oversized, and it's 6'6" to his body.
Ain't nothing wrong with it. Trust me, man. I got the beer belly myself. So if it were me, I'd probably do the same thing now. But Jokic is that kid. Jokic is that guy that like, y'all want to play pool ball? Yeah. And he jumps in, t-shirt and all. And like that's him. Yeah.
And he's so goddamn fun to watch play.
Yeah, exactly.
Frizz's 5, baby. Back-to-back weeks. You're working overtime for us.
Let's get it.
Prepare yourselves for the greatest and most unique segment in podcast history. Let's rank some stuff with D. It's time for Frizz's 5.
That's right. Frizz's 5, the hottest podcast segment in all the land where we rank stuff. Actually, not we, but D rank stuff. D, what's your 5 this week about?
All right, we back. Kind of alluded to it when we were talking about some pool games. So I mean, I know it's not here yet, but it kind of is, especially for us down in the South. It technically is summer. Summer is like 8 months down here. So sorry for y'all if y'all still get snow and rain. My apologies.
It was a high last weekend here in Boston of 50 degrees.
Sorry to hear that. Definitely between 80 and 90 every day here. I've already gone swimming, so I apologize for y'all. But we're going to stick with the summer theme because I felt that it felt like it was summer. I know it's not quite there yet. For me, I'm going top 5 backyard games to play.
I like it. And so backyard games, we're talking like specifically like actual active sports? Are we talking like drinking games, or what we talk like just like lawn games? Where are we going with this?
I'm gonna go mixture of all. Definitely drinking activity type games and just lawn games. It's a culmination of all. I think I might have hit old school, new school, and in between. So I'm gonna start this one off. I'm gonna go number 5. Go ahead.
And I see y'all out there watching. Throw out some of your suggestions. You're free to criticize D because he's often very wrong with this list.
I don't give a damn. And I haven't said this in a very long time. It ain't your top 5. It's my top 5. Number 5, very classic one. I love playing it, no lie. Whether I got a beer in my hand or I'm just throwing it out there, I'm just going with horseshoes.
Hey, man, that's my number 5 as well. Let's go.
It's Classic as shit. Like honestly, man, like I used to not care for it, and I feel like the older I get, I'm like, nah, I actually kind of like playing horseshoes. Something about like you just ringer, like everybody goes nuts when that shit fucking rings around the pole.
The clang when
Yeah.
actually hits the pole. I like that.
Yeah, it's something about it. Like I don't know about like the whole measuring shit. Like people, oh, bing, Herschel away. But we all use the phrase, nothing's close in life besides horseshoes and hand grenades. So like, it's a classic for me. Number 4. I know there's both multiple names for it. Very similar to horseshoes, and I like playing it eventually when I got a drink in my hand. I'm gonna go with cornhole bag toss.
Bruh, we are fucking matching 5
Let's
and 4.
go.
We
Hell
go all the
yeah.
way to the top matching. That would be insane.
I don't think it's ever happened before.
Ever.
I don't think we've ever come close to being back to back on the
This
same
is the
page.
closest we've had.
Yeah. So I mean, cornhole itself, I feel like it's still a little overrated, but it's just a popular game. Everybody and their mother has boards. I have four sets in my garage. Ain't nobody coming to play no cornhole here. I don't know a goddamn person out here. But like it's a game that you just play. It's definitely a fun one.
I don't think it's overrated, but my issue with cornhole is that I play for fun. Like I'm not practicing. I'm not trying to make the professional cornhole league. I'm just gonna have a beer and have a good time. But some people take it very, very seriously and are very good. So like I'm playing an outdoor game to just have a drink and like shoot the shit. So that's why cornhole is lower for me, because people take it way too seriously and it takes the fun out of it for me.
This is where I think we go probably off. This is a little bit more active between the two because it involves, I would say, playing, side and side. But I'm gonna go with Polish horseshoes / frizz pin.
Is that the one? Oh wait,
with the frisbee.
That's my number 2.
And oddly enough, if I chose, I thought about number 2. I literally swapped them, so it would have been my number 2.
Please tell me your number 2 isn't. Go ahead.
I'm not. Don't say it. But yeah, so Polish horseshoes, for those that may not know, or frizz pin. Obviously, it's got the name in it, Frizz, your boy. It's pole with a beer bottle at the top, plastic or glass, whatever you use, and you got frisbee. A big fan of throwing the frisbee. There's some people that throw some heat with that shit. Some people throw the curve. I'm more of the curve. Yeah, you got to catch it to prevent a point. If it hits the bottle, you got to catch the frisbee and the bottle or the pole. Whole bunch of defensive activity-ness going on.
Let's make sure you're playing the game correctly. One rule you have to follow in Polish horseshoes is one hand has to have a beer.
Yes.
Like all right.
Yeah, you can't catch with two hands either. You can't catch with your body. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. Or you just got to have something in your hand. But number 2, again, it was swapped, but I love this. It sticks with the frisbee. I'm going Cam Jam.
It's my number 1. We're so close.
Ooh. Yeah, man. Cam Jam, again, another frisbee. I think it's a newer style game. I don't remember it being a big thing when I was in like college, maybe like the tail end of college.
It was coming up.
Yeah, it definitely, because then it became a beach game. A lot of people playing it at the beach. But yeah, I like it. I like it because it's a mixture of basketball, throw the frisbee, slam that shit in. You can throw through the slot, like a whole bunch of ways. Play defense if you miss the frisbee.
What's your strategy? I'm always throwing for like the hover over the top to slam it in.
Slot.
Some people use, so you're going for
slot.
The kill.
I'm slot yep, absolutely. Okay. Yep, go big or go home. And number 1, give me my drum roll, please. It's a classic. I don't care if you're 5, 10, 30, any of those ages. I'm breaking out the wiffle ball set, whether it's 2v2, 3v3, 10v10. Wiffle ball is the king of backyard games.
That's a very good list. That's a good number 1. The only place that I deviated was I didn't have wiffle ball. I didn't even think about it. I was thinking all drinking games. I had number 3 was beer pong.
See,
that's not really outdoor. You can't play.
That's why I said that. Yeah,
strictly outdoor.
Beer pong. As soon as I started the list, I was like, you can. That's not something that you like. I'm not grabbing the cornhole set and playing in the hallway, but like you can beer pong. So it's not technically an outside summer backyard game. It can be played in the backyard. So can basketball, but like it's not considered a backyard for me. Why it's not considered a backyard game.
I love your number 1 at wiffle ball because that's like a quintessential, like if you're having a cookout with like the fam over, like you get done eating, you get the whole family out there and you just hit the wiffle ball, play a little game. You gotta go ghost runners too. You know what I mean?
Oh, I ain't the age of running the first base anymore. I'm pulling hammy trying to run down the first base line. But that's why I was saying, like, it's for all age groups, right? Like you're 8 years old, you can play with the parents if it's the family 10v10 game. If you're older, you're like, look, I ain't running, but I'll smack the shit over the house. You know what I'm saying? Like,
When I did a remiss in leaving off this list, and it kind of goes with wiffle ball. I didn't think like active sports, but this belongs on my list if we're gonna do more active. I love nothing more in the summer. Have like 1 or 2 beers. You get a little bit of a buzz on. Play a little backyard volleyball with all the boys. And it's not about like backyard volleyball is not about the spikes in the form. It's about people diving after the craziest shit, like after a couple of drinks, like throwing their body like 10 feet off of the court trying to save a ball. That's what summer's all about, man.
volleyball is up there for me. It's just tough because I played it like
Competitively.
yeah, I played it like organized in high school and in college. Not for the team, but like playing a lot of volleyball when we were at Dartmouth. And like I hate gym style volleyball, and backyard volleyball turns into that where it's like so disorganized. I'm like, yo, stay back. Like I don't need you diving near me like that bothers me. Or like, yo, you touched the net. So I love playing volleyball because I played it competitively. I'm way too competitive with it that like joking around, I can't have fun doing it.
Then you always get that one person who's just kind of there and just sucks, and you're just like, oh, I fucking hate you so much.
Yeah, man. Like, yo, serve the ball. Ugh.
Good versus 5 this week. That was also like behind the scenes. That was an impromptu on the fly versus 5.
I can't remember what you said that made me think of it. I was like, oh, it's almost summertime. Why don't we do this? Because there was something in the pre-show.
It was about like there's no sports in the summer, but that was a very good.
I think it's legit what you just said was that there's no sports in the summer. Like,
last minute, that was a very good 5.
Let's go. Appreciate you.
All right, let's rat-a-tat-tat. Last couple segments. You were curious about this because it was a big story in the news today, and I was going to give you some details. So, do you have any idea what Live Golf is and like where it started and what the controversy around it was?
No, because if I say anything that I think it is, it's going to be remotely incorrect. Everything. So like, I'm not even going to guess. So please, this is your time to shine, to fill me in. I'm the student. You're the teacher.
I'll take breaks. So like Live Golf, obviously there's a PGA Tour, which is like the biggest professional golf league in the world. Live Golf was started by Saudi Arabia. So like Saudi Arabia has like a sports fund. Where like it's literally government owned, and they have a fuck ton of oil money. Like they got insane money in Saudi Arabia, man, like billions on billions. And they actually own several professional sports teams. I think they own PSG in France, like one of the biggest soccer clubs in the world. They own a couple other big soccer clubs. So they started this golf league, and they were trying to poach PGA players, like big names, and they were offering them crazy amounts of money, like insane. I think Phil Mickelson got like $300 million to go just play there.
Like, yeah, they offered over $500 million to Tiger, if I remember that correctly.
Tiger was offered.
He turned it down.
$800 million.
Yeah, and he turned it down.
And the reason why they turned it down was, all right, there was a lot of controversy because obviously, if you remember, I don't know, God, at this point, 5 years ago, Saudi Arabia, there's a Wall Street journalist that they bone sawed into pieces and killed him, and he went to the embassy, never came out, and they pretty much speculate they bone sawed his body into pieces and then just disposed of it. So obviously it's like a dictatorship government, like not fun people, but unfortunately money rules the world and they got a lot of money. So anywho, so there was a big controversy about people leaving to go to this tour. People who went to the tour were not allowed to participate in PGA Tour events. So they were out of all the majors, which is like very important in golf. Over time, the majors allowed them back in to like the big major events like Augusta, the US Open. And that's because those particular events are not hosted by PGA Tour.
Yeah, they're in its own entity. Yeah.
So they can just make their own rules up. Well, the big story is that after all this stink about this competing entity and how bad they were and all this shit for, 2 years now, there is a merger between the PGA Tour and Live Golf now. And the crazy thing is, I don't know the details of how this merger is going to go, if they will still operate independently, but like, rosters can work back and forth. We don't know the details. But here's the crazy thing is that the players in the PGA Tour, some of them who were very vocal against this Live Golf, who turned down hundreds of $millions to not go there because they were very much against where the money was coming from, they were not consulted with this. They found out when we found out via
Twitter.
So like That's the whole story with this thing. I don't know if you have any questions, but it's like it's a banana story. It obviously, like, we're not golf fans, we're not golfers, so like it's hard for us to really understand the implications of this, but it's gonna be probably messy in the next couple days.
Excuse me, I had to cough real quick. So
Yeah.
the way that you just explained that, and I don't know where this came from because you said two separate entities combined into one. It just made me think of like when Raw and SmackDown
I
were
was thinking
like,
the same thing when I said that.
yeah, it was just like, all right, well, the Raw was, PGA golf, and then here comes SmackDown, like on for Live, and they're like, you know what? Instead of us trying to compete on Mondays and Thursdays, why don't we just try to combine WrestleMania and have everything together? So like that's where I get the chuckle out of it. The bread in itself, I just see and hear a lot of money being thrown around. Golf in itself is it's a rich boy sport, a rich gal, gore, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is. It's a
sport, man. You gotta have money.
Yeah, you gotta have bread to play it. So like people are always gonna chase that money. I think the huge part is like, you wake up and he's like, yo, I found out I was traded via Twitter. Like that's how a lot of those people are going to feel, and that's going to draw a huge
So I don't think
issue.
it's going to change their day to day, but here's the thing that
the people that turn down the money for it.
That's the thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Rory McIlroy, who's like one of the most well-known golfers. I don't know where he's ranked now. He's a very established golfer. He's won many majors. He turned down the money. He was very much against it. He was offered something like $300 million, $400 million. The guys who took that money, like Phil Mickelson, pocketed the $300 million from Saudi Arabia. Now they're allowed to play in every event, and it's the same exact thing. So they
missed out on millions.
And they missed out on the money because they stood on their principles. And at the end of the day, the PGA Tour caved in and took that money from Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that's awful. Think about. I mean, I know he's got more money to not. He doesn't have to worry about shit for a generation. Yeah, like he doesn't. Not to say that like 800 million isn't a lot of money, but like he literally could care less because he's making that much. But to somebody else that turned down 300 million, that's
the thing of this too, D. Like, I think you personally have the right mentality in sports where like I think you would care about winning championships and having a legacy yourself. I'm sure if you were a professional athlete, you'd want the money, but like I feel like you would prioritize also having that legacy, correct?
Yeah, that's definitely for me.
And those guys who turned down the Live Golf money, they wanted to be able to still compete for those majors because like that's how you judge how good a golfer is if you win the major events. And the Live golfers were not allowed to do that. So that was a huge deterrent. And again, they chose the path of legacy, of doing what's right by their morality. And at the end of the day, the PGA Tour went like this. And if you're not watching live, it's just a big middle finger because that's how they must feel. And to find out via Twitter with everyone else that that's going down, like it's a big slap in the face. This broke today on Monday. Was it Tuesday? I don't know what's going to happen with the PGA Tour and Live Golf, like how this is going to go with the athletes, but it's an interesting story. I know there's probably not a lot of golf fans out there, but just something to keep your eyes on, like for the drama.
Yeah, I got no clothes for it. I think it was interesting and it caught my eye because the first thing I thought of was money. I was just like, well, did someone buy out the other? Did someone take money? Not only did they do that, but like, what happens to those that just didn't take the bread back when there was? I remember that. I remember there were people that were like, yo, we're not taking this money to go play. Like, I want to play on the U.S. soil. And then they're like, all right, well, you could have just taken the money. And then, if you waited a year or two, you still would have been able to play on the U.S. soil. So it's a lot of money, man. I know that like you said, I am definitely a big, legacy versus money type of person, but I'm never going to, rat on somebody for going to get their bread. There's no such thing as too much money. So like, I do feel bad for those that missed out on it. It sucks.
Yeah, and I think the biggest one was Bryson DeChambeau from PGA. He got I'm reading now $125 million to go play for Live. So we got that 2 years ago. They lifted the restrictions to the majors this year, and he played in the U.S. Open and won it. So like he got all his bread, got to get the big wins, and now he's back. No consequences. I mean, I hate all of it, but Hey, man, good for the guys getting their bread. That's all I'm going to say. D,
What's good?
are you ready?
Yes, sir.
The show is coming to an end. But first, it's time to get to anything we've missed. It's closing time. 1 segment, 2 takes. Now go.
Closing takes, the time of the show where we get to get anything off of our chest that we've been remiss to say so far. Lots of NBA today. I want to take us to the Diamond. MLB. Maybe I'll make this like a weekly update. It's A's watch, guys. We're watching the Oakland Athletics because they're the worst team ever. Since we talked last week, they proceeded to lose 5 straight in a row. They were already on pace to being the 3rd worst team of all time. They lost 5 in a row. They are now at a 19% winning percentage. I think they moved up to number 1 worst team winning percentage of all time. I'm hoping for the A's to keep losing, to keep making me money, baby. Fade them on the bets. Fade the A's. You'll win some money.
Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Just embarrassing. Like, there's really no other way to say it besides that's an embarrassment. I hate it because it's like they're professional athletes, but like that's an embarrassment to the sport and to just like North American sports that there's a team out there that is
19% winning rate.
That's so disgusting.
I have to find the second worst. I'm going to look it up. But yeah, 19% win rate. And that team is out of Oakland. So this is like their last year or 2 in Oakland. They're moving to Las Vegas. And that's what they get, man. 19%, by the way, that's winning 1 out of every 5 games. Think about that.
A lot of L's. That's getting swept like every game or every series. Or sorry, you're getting swept once every 2 series.
All right. And then so the second worst winning percentage is a whole 0.1% higher. It's 30% Kansas City Chiefs, or something of football, Kansas City Royals, and it drops off to 19%. Crazy. By the way, shout out Texas Rangers, man. Huge, hell of a year. They're about to be 40-20. That's my betting team, man. When I want to win some money, I go with them Rangers, boy.
So bet the Rangers, bet the Braves, bet against the A's.
Tampa Bay always wins. Tampa Bay is the best record in baseball. You bet for Tampa Bay, you bet for Texas, and you fade Oakland, and you'll be good.
I mean, in a sport that shares revenue, I feel like anybody could get paid in Oakland, but nobody wants to play. Like the Warriors didn't even want to stay in Oakland.
For B Mello, their owner is like notoriously cheap, and he is not willing to spend money. I will say this: they're going to get worse, believe it or not, because the trade deadlines in a couple months. And they'll definitely be sellers. I don't know if they have any talent to sell, but they'll be sending people away.
They'll try to trade away prospects to get better prospects. Like that's what losing teams have that that losing mentality.
They're on the trust the process.
For 30 years.
Yeah. All right, D, what you got for me, buddy?
So I'm going non-sports related. I kind of hinted to it we almost hinted to it when we were talking about movies at the beginning of the show. I'm going, guess who's back? Back again. The Rock is back. Tell a friend.
Smooth.
Dwayne Johnson returning back to the Fast and Furious franchise. Like, I'm not saying it's gonna bring me back to watching it. I'm sorry, but like R.I.P. Paul Walker when he passed, the same way that when Tony Stark, went away in fictionally wise in the Marvel series in the Avengers, I stopped watching it. When Paul Walker went away, I kind of stopped watching Fast and Furious because like it's a big piece. But Dwayne is back. He's going to be in a spin-off series for the show, for the movie. I don't know if they're going to input him in the last movie because Fast 13 or 14, maybe even Fast 17, whichever one they're on, is a 2-part series finale.
Fast 10. It's Fast
whatever, 13, 17, or 35, just like counting Super Bowls. He's not in those, but if he's in the second part of it, that'd be dope. If he's just in a spin-off, hey, man, welcome back, because Hobbs was a great character.
Let me ask you this question before we get out of here on Fast and the Furious. Give me a number you think that the Fast and the Furious franchise has made all time in gross income.
Gross?
So that doesn't count for money that they spend. So right. That's not profit.
Yep.
Gross income on Fast and the Furious.
1.2 billion. Higher. 2.5. There's no way I'm getting it. I thought they just barely broke billions. They're over 3 billion. No way. 4.5. Just tell me, bro. I'm not gonna keep guessing.
$7 billion this franchise has made.
So Ludacris had that Chris Bridges, who just got his Hollywood star. Kudos to you, man. That's awesome. He went from, a whole bunch of rap music to being one of the world's highest paid actors. He said it the right way. People were like, "Yo, when are you guys gonna stop making movies?" And he was like, "When y'all stop paying us to make these movies." It's like, "Yo, go and get your bread." $7 billion.
$7 billion
for movies that started off chasing 18-wheelers and stealing DVDs.
But we all know what it's really about.
Family. Always about family. I don't got friends. I got family. Hey, I know it's not gonna ever make its debut, but I got 2 signs over here for when my bar goes up, and it just reads off: "You can have any brew you want." Second sign, as long as it's a Corona.
Jam. I think that's the way we gotta get out of here today, buddy. Let it get us out.
All right, man. I appreciate y'all sticking around, especially for something like this. We're gonna do our best to stick sports. If we don't stick sports, we're gonna talk pop culture. I appreciate you. He's back. Let's go. Welcome back, Percival, baby. Hey, big shouts to you. I said Miami in 7.
Hold on.
All right, you want to stick? All right, we'll stick.
This dude, he's been MIA the entire Miami run. This dude was talking shit. I don't even lie.
He wasn't talking shit. You were talking shit.
I was talking shit before the playoffs. He was like, "This team is trash." You're right, my man. They are back. He must be so amped.
I'm happy he's here. That made my day. That was worth a shout.
Yes,
appreciate you, man. Yo, so I don't know if you were here for it. Definitely catch us on the return. So we swapped days. I think when you were on our show, we would do a Monday evenings. We've swapped it based off of job schedules. So we're live Tuesday nights, 8 to 9, 9:30, and then we'll go with the recap.
Oh, that's a great one. We'll say we'll table that for next week. Jimmy Butler all-time Miami Heat rankings. I'm curious where he would land on that list.
That's. I mean, depends.
D-Wade number one. D-Wade number one.
Yeah, we're gonna be a lot farther along the series next week. I don't think we'll be ended by Monday.
We'll be. Denver will take care of him by then.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm just messing.
Play my music so we can get up out of here.
All right. Good seeing you, Percival.
Again, as we say every time, appreciate you being here, Percival. We don't say that every time, but catch us on the socials. Make sure y'all hit us up on Facebook, YouTube. You can find us on Twitter. You can see every time we like to tweet some random shit. Catch us on our website, www.frizzandgrizz.com. We don't really promote it, but we like to see if you guys can get there. Yeah, man, that's the best way to say it. And as we say when we heading up out of here, please, y'all take care of y'all bread. Y'all take care of y'all mentals. Take care of y'all physicals. Take care of y'all chicken. Take care of y'all children. And we'll catch y'all on the flip. Peace.